Barnwell dropped his skill position rankings for all 32 teams on ESPN.com, and Bill's list is based on each team's receivers, running backs, and tight ends. So no quarterbacks involved, okay? The rankings are based on expected performance for the upcoming season. Checking in at the bottom of the list, that's where we're going to start. The Los Angeles Chargers. LA was a top 5 unit in last year's preseason article, but lost Keenan Allen and Mike Williams this offseason. The Buffalo Bills are also in the bottom 10 after trading Stephon Diggs and seeing Gabe Davis leave in free agency. The Bills have ranked top 5 in total offense each of the last 4 seasons. So we're going to make Bill start defending his work right out of the gate here. How concerning is this Chargers group of skill players, Bill?
It is a problem. I mean, the Chargers, like you said, lost multiple starters, Austin Eckler as well, several kind of, cornerstone guys. They don't really replace them with many well-known veterans. They're relying on some younger players. Quentin Johnston, who had one of the worst yards per route run of any first-round pick in recent memory last season. Ladd McConkey is added here. A couple of injury-prone running backs from the Ravens and Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. But I will say, I'm more optimistic about the Chargers as a whole. I love Joe Alt, love the additions up front to the offensive line. And Jim Harbaugh is a coach who had a lot of success winning close games, something that the Chargers struggled with last season. They were 2-8 in one-score games. That typically does not happen year after year. Jim Harbaugh is a very good coach in his own right, 17-7 in those close games. I really think there's an opportunity for them to be very effective this upcoming season.
I think Bill's ranking is completely fair. I was really excited about Ladd McConkey as the pick for them. I think he fits really well with Herbert, but he's a rookie, and you'd really need Quentin Johnston, who's a second-year receiver, who really struggled in his first season as a rookie, to make a big leap for me to feel good about this receiving group. That said, like Bill, I still like the direction that this team is going in, and I actually think the offense can be fairly efficient, not just because they have a quarterback in Justin Herbert, who is an elevator of talent, but because I think that this ground game is going to be extremely productive. Whatever you think of Greg Roman, who they brought in as an offensive coordinator, that guy knows how to call a rushing attack, even preceding his time in Baltimore with, of course, Lamar Jackson. Jim Harbaugh is coming from a college program in Michigan that was extremely creative and fun on the ground. And as Bill said, this offensive line is where they've chosen to invest and should do a good job of blocking for 2 backs in Gus Edwards and Dobbins, who I think are not only potentially upgrades for what they had last year, but also complement each other well. So the skill group is dubious, but the offense is actually moving in the right direction.
Bill, I think you misspoke. You said the Chargers struggled in close games last year. You meant their entire franchise history going back about 50 years.
Wow.
For me, there's a stat that blows my mind, which is that Justin Herbert attempts more passes per game than any human in NFL history. That's bad. That has showed you how the Chargers have put everything at his feet and said, please save us. That's not a winning strategy for a franchise. If it seems like every pass he's thrown has been with the Chargers down 9 points with 5 minutes to go, that's almost because it has, because no team has lost more games when they score 30 points since Justin Herbert entered the league than the Chargers. A run game fixes this. Greg Roman fixes this. Andy Bischoff, who is an offensive assistant there, said not everybody needs to be Peyton Manning all the time, which means putting everything on your plate and saying, please just run this offense. They're going to get a run game. They're going to get layups for him. This offense is going to suit him. They're going to give him, Andy Bischoff said he needs a breather as a quarterback. I completely agree. Let's get Justin Herbert a breather and move forward. This franchise is going to be very good going forward. In the next 5 years, they will make the Super Bowl.
Whoa. Buffalo Bills were top 10 of these rankings 2 years ago, but fell to 20th last year. They're 24th this year. The Bills have seen significant turnover in their wide receiver group this offseason, of course, and that's a big reason why. The Bills returned 47% of its receiving yards from last year. That's the second lowest rate, ahead of only the Chargers, who we just talked about. Bill, why does this new group of skill players concern you there in Buffalo?
There's not that built-in guy you can really trust, right? And this is a younger receiving group than the one with Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, who both left this offseason. And I'm a little skeptical of those young guys making an immediate impact. I like Keon Coleman as a prospect, but he was taken 33rd overall. And in that 30 to 40 range, you can find good players. You can find a T. Higgins. You can find a Jimmy Smith if you go back to the Jags days. But there has not been a guy who racked up 1,000 yards in that 30 to 40 range in the draft during their rookie season since Ernest Givens in 1986. That is a long time ago. Nearly 60 receivers have been taken since then in that range and not landed that 1,000-yard rookie season. So I think in the big picture, in the long term, with guys like Khalil Shakir, with Keon Coleman, and of course, Dalton Kincaid and James Cook, they have a lot of young talent. But in talking about 2024, can they really emulate what the Chiefs have done in terms of getting rid of a star player and then, kind of surrounding them with other talent? I don't think they have a Travis Kelce or even an Isaiah Pacheco in that mix to work with there.
Brandon Beane, the general manager, was on my show a couple of months ago, and I read him a quote that I think is kind of the Rosetta Stone of modern football, where I quoted Joe Burrow, who said, the Bengals championship window is as long as he's there. And I said, does that apply to the Bills with Josh Allen? And Brandon Beane said, yes, it does. And I wholeheartedly agree. I am not high on the skill group, but I'm high on the floor that Josh Allen provides. Against the Chiefs, in the next-gen era, no one has had more passes behind the line of scrimmage than Josh Allen in that game. And he did really well with it. And what I want to see this year from Josh Allen is more Clark Kent and less Superman. I think that's the way forward. I think the easier layups with Joe Brady, comfort in that offense, and then when he really needs it, put the franchise on his back. I'm looking forward to that more in 2024.
So later in the show, we're going to talk about the Green Bay Packers. And when I think about the Bills this year and the best case scenario for them, I think about the Packers, where there was no clear number one wide receiver. And we'll see what happens with Stephon Diggs' departure, but I suspect it'll be similar. Instead, you have a number of young players, skill players with complementary skill sets who are good. Maybe not great, but good. And I really think that's on the table in Buffalo, especially given the fact that, as Kevin just said, you have a quarterback who elevates everyone around him. The key, though, I think, to unlocking that is something we also saw in Green Bay, which is a play caller who is incredibly adept at putting those young players in a position to succeed and also using scheme to get them open. And I think that is the challenge for Joe Brady. Is your best personnel grouping two tight ends? Can you use more play action and RPOs? That's what I'm going to be curious to see early on because, while the group of young skill players is exciting, they're going to need his help in addition to Josh Allen's.
Yeah, Joe Brady, one of the more exciting young offensive minds in the game, but I see your point there, Mina, about some of the challenges. All right, by the way, the Bills do return all their other starters on offense except center Mitch Morse, which I think is important there too. For teams at the bottom of the list, things can change very quickly. Don't worry, the worst group on the Bills list at this time last year, not the Bills, Bill Barnwell's list, the Houston Texans, who went on to improve from 30th in scoring offense to 13th behind C.J. Stroud, and a group of breakout pass catchers. Look at this turnaround. The Packers were also in the bottom 5 of this list last year, and like the Texans, they also won a playoff game. How about the best groups in the league? Let's end on a high note here. The 49ers repeat as the top team on this list. The NFC champs return their top 5 leading rushers and receivers from last season. And rounding out the top 5 are the Minnesota Vikings, who have a quarterback competition between Sam Darnold and first-round rookie J.J. McCarthy. So whoever wins that QB competition will have a loaded supporting cast to work with. Justin Jefferson headlines the group, with Jordan Addison entering year 2 after leading all rookie wideouts with 10 touchdown catches last year. TJ Hawkinson ranks second among tight ends in yards per game, and Aaron Jones leads the backfield after 7 seasons in Green Bay. So a top 5 skill group in place, but the question becomes, who should be under center this fall? Kevin, would you be looking to start rookie J.J. McCarthy or the guy that you just brought in on a $10 million deal in Sam Darnold?
I don't know why Sam Darnold was brought in on a $10 million deal. Let's start there. I feel bad for Sam Darnold. He was failed by 2 franchises, but just because you were failed doesn't mean you're a great quarterback or even a good quarterback. So I wouldn't give him this opportunity. I would roll with J.J. McCarthy immediately. The fact that Bill is right, the skill group is amazing, only helps the case for J.J. McCarthy. They can find really easy throws in this offense. Between the numbers at Michigan last year, J.J. McCarthy had an adjusted completion percentage of 85%. They are really good over the middle of the field in Minnesota. Kevin O'Connell schemes up middle of the field throws, and basically they're a top 7 in every metric over the middle of the field. On the other side, Justin Jefferson's ability to create space with dig routes and win just with his cuts, create that separation. Those are easy throws. I would let J.J. McCarthy cook immediately. You got rid of Kirk Cousins to raise the ceiling on the offense. That plan doesn't involve Sam Darnold, okay? You're not raising the ceiling on anything. Start the J.J. McCarthy era as soon as you can.
I would actually let this one play out over the summer. See if J.J. McCarthy looks ready. And you do that with the, I think, expectation that he is going to start at some point this season. And when he does start, while this group of skill players is excellent, the group of wide receivers, tight end, T.J. Hawkinson, I think Bill's ranking of them at 5 was correct. The addition of Aaron Jones is very important, in particular for J.J. McCarthy, because as good as this group of pass catchers has been over the last couple of years, the run game has been atrocious. Over the last 2 seasons, 25th in EPA per play on the ground, 27th in yards per carry. And J.J. McCarthy, while I do think sometimes it's overstated that a rookie quarterback needs a good run game, he needs a good run game, because making that transition from a Michigan offense that had a dominant run game where he was not asked to drop back and throw it very much to the NFL is going to be contingent upon him being paired with a good run game, a good play action passing attack on top of that. So Aaron Jones, to me, that addition is key for J.J. McCarthy in particular once he starts.
Mina said the magic phrase, play action passing attack. It is the cheat code for young quarterbacks to make their lives easier, and it is particularly important for J.J. McCarthy because that's where he excelled at Michigan. Over the last 2 seasons, the #1 quarterback in the entire country in QBR on play action passes was, yes, J.J. McCarthy, who was over 90 of QBR last couple of years at Michigan. Still good without play action, 19th in the country over the past 2 seasons. But we know play action makes every quarterback's life better. About 11 points of QBR difference between quarterbacks in the NFL who used play action last year and did not use play action. So if the Vikings can get Aaron Jones going, all the reason to build more play action into the offense and make J.J. McCarthy's life just that tiny bit easier as he starts his career.
Bill, if they do decide to start Sam Darnold early in the season especially, what do you think the reason would be?
Maybe to protect J.J. McCarthy against what could be a very difficult slate of opponents to start the season. 5 of their first 7 games are against playoff teams from last season. So you have to figure, you don't want to get J.J. McCarthy out there against a very tough competition. Maybe find that bye week. Maybe get him to the midseason where you can have the offense working again.
Yeah, the Vikings have the second hardest schedule over the first 8 weeks based on last year's opponent record, to your point.